Alright, hi everybody. Welcome back to the third hour of Once Upon a Game, episode 19, where we're playing Downfall by Carolyn Hobbs. We've been playing this super interesting, kinda crazy science, mysticism, post-apocalyptic kind of game about this strange mysteries going on and what's sort of happening to this society of colonizers and survivors of this generation ship that crashed on some sort of Earth-like planet. So, let's just jump right back into it, shall we, guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we are at we're currently, it's Nick's turn to create a scene as the Fallen.
Fallen scene.
Awesome.
So, I want to use the ship's old kind of bridge as a general meeting point for all the tribes when something serious happens. And this would have been kind of broken off, probably in the nose somewhere, broken off from the rest of the ship and just kind of cemented somewhere in the basin of the valley and close to the central kind of like data store where Totem is. And after having gotten the kid and repaired the generator and all of the information kind of crossing through Totem and out to the different tribes, they've kind of communed to see what to do about this kid, how they got there, why they're there, why Totem seems to be somewhat like agitated by their presence, and what to do about you after having gotten the generator fixed. What to do about Sam after having gotten the generator fixed, I should say.
Okay. So what is the location? Where is the scene actually?
It's the ship's bridge at the base of the valley with all of the elders kind of just like sitting around in this general kind of like, I guess it would be the old chairs and all the old command stations.
Okay. So I guess what I'm wondering. So I guess they're all looking down at me,
Yes,
and I'm there with the boy.
with the boy, yes, and Cam kind of just as like someone to help represent you.
Okay. Oh, okay. Is this kind of like part of the process where I reveal that like I fixed the ship?
Yes,
Is it
and
like
they're trying to
disguised as
figure
that?
that, and they're trying to figure out what to do with the boy
Yeah. Okay.
under those auspices.
Yeah. That's what I figured. Okay.
Mhm.
Because of course we're not actually talking about what to do with the boy here. It's about
Right.
right because we're too afraid to admit it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Um, and the other thing is that Totem's kind of like speaking through the elders because it's
Yeah.
not really wanting to reveal itself.
So like are all the elders kind of like they look like they're passed out with their heads like like slumped back?
Yeah,
like
they're all
Yeah,
data
with like their
jacked.
data jacks like
Jacked
linked
in.
into a
Yeah.
different point.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
so it just looks like you're talking to a room of dead people.
yes, but Totem like and Totem's like taking the time to like speak through each one individually at
Yeah.
different points.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So an elder that's kind of dressed in what would be like the security tribe's uniform kind of like casts a dead finger down at you, kind of just like pointing at Sam and goes like, "So you had fixed the generator, a task which should be unfeasible for someone of your age. Care to explain?"
Well, I would have thought so too, but if what really helped me out here was, and I look over to the boy. What's the boy calling himself? We, or does he call himself Totem?
Um, he, yeah,
Does
the
he call
boy
him?
calls himself Totem.
Okay, with the help of Totem,
And as
who-
soon as you say that, there's like an uproar from all of the like
yeah,
gathered
like
things, and they're just like a cacophony of noise, like grumble, grumble, mutter, grumble, just erupting from everyone,
yeah, you
which gradually dies down after a moment. And
he
one of another elder that's sitting up at the command chair, which seems to be lording over everything, kind of just like tilts the chair and his whole body to kind of look down at the boy and is like, "That boy
We had
carries
to-
a name sacred to this land.
oh
Why
yes,
does he dare?"
I gave space for Totem to respond.
Totem kind of like just stares right back at this elderly person, just like counter staring back, saying, "You know not whom you speak to. So I suggest you afford the same kind of respect."
And the elder kind of just like almost sits up out of the chair, head still kind of leaned back, and it kind of just like shouts like, "You do not understand who you address, boy." And it kind of just like sinks back into its
Guys,
chair.
please! I'm trying to defuse the situation. Please, like I fixed the power generator. Like there's no need to be hostile. Our way of life is secured.
Um, and another one of the elders, a kind of like elderly, womanish looking person. They have a very kind of like long wig on to conceal their data jack. Kind of just like holds up their arms in a sort of inquisitive motion and is like, "Yes, but you seem to have done it with outside help and through means of some child that is an invalid to this entire civilization. They came from a pod that was not even of our own creation, and who knows how long they were on that ship for."
Well, I know he wasn't okay. I know this totem, lowercase totem.
Let's
We know who you're referring to.
Yeah.
let's call him T2.
T2. Okay. We know T2 came from a undesignated pod. We know that T2 does not belong to a tribe, but he has more than earned his place. At least he's not a native, right? He clearly comes from the Pride of Soul. He has a card. Please, like he should join us. He is not an abomination. He has his actions helping the generator. It's testament to his goodwill. I'm sure whatever slights he are all from him not knowing our culture yet.
There's a couple of like
Perhaps you should watch the flight training videos.
There's a couple of silent seconds which shared amongst the group, both thinking about your retort and then just kind of thinking about what you said, and the chairs kind of swivel back and forth as if looking at each other.
Aye.
And then all of a sudden they all like switch back to like directly facing front all at the same moment. And the one up in the command chair again raises his hand and he's like, "Let's say that we believe your claims. What grounds do you have for allowing us to keep this child here? What use could it possibly serve to us? What designation would it have? It can't fit in our tribes. It knows nothing of the culture."
I'm prepared to make an exchange.
Go on.
I was tasked to fix the generator in return for possibly becoming leader again of Science Tribe. I'm willing to give that up if it means accepting T2 into this tribe
There's kind of a
as reward.
there's kind of a cacophony of mechanical laughter throughout the entire like thing, and it's just a chorus of random voices in like ha 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 all over the place. And one of the elder sitting up in the top chair is like, "Did you honestly believe that they would allow you to circumvent the position and elevate yourself to elder? You silly person,
But-
that was never on the table to begin with."
I look at Cam. Like betrayed. You know what I mean? Like I look at Cam, I'm like, how could you? Is this true?
Sam.
Tell me it's not true.
Sam, it was for the good
Yes.
tribe.
God damn it. Yes.
You must understand, we exist because we have perpetuated our traditions, and to have someone who so flagrantly abuses them and disavows them, it would so
I won't stand for any of this. T2, we must go. And we flee.
Yeah, I guess you kind of like grab
Yeah.
T2's hand.
Yeah, like
T2
run.
is just like looking back at them.
Yeah. Run.
There's a loud kind of like noise from behind you, like the elders kind of like shouting at you all in unison, and then it gradually dies down
Nice.
as you flee into the mist-ridden forest of the bottom of the canyon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one detail I'd like to add, as that's happening, you can kind of see like a little bit, there's a data jack implanted into T2.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Cool. So that would be the end of that rotation. So then I would become the Fallen again. Nick, you become the Pillar.
Reflection.
Oh, that's right, the Reflection.
Yep.
So, I'm thinking that um, our haven is too afraid to change for the better. I'm thinking that Totem, specifically, I think Totem is too afraid to change. That I think the boy, I think T2 is the secret to fixing our society, and I think Totem sees him as a threat, and I think that if T2 can get access to Totem in sort of that cyberspace or something like that, he could fix it for the better. That's what I'm thinking, at least. But first, we must hide in the jungles or the forest, the misty forests of the canyon. Awesome.
All right.
Cool. So now we're back to where we started. Do we think we should do one final round of things, or like a couple more? Like, it is 11:30 now. I normally end around midnight. Sometimes I push it to about 12:30.
Well, let me just make a suggestion.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a full round, because we kind of know what Totem's intents are, and we know that Totem's not like an incredibly aggressive entity so much as it is just a very defensive entity, maybe just one more hero round to wrap a few things up, and then we go into the final round.
Okay.
One more hero scene, I should say.
You know what? Like,
So we should do. So basically, you go again, and then.
Or, well, isn't it
no,
Zethro?
no, you can go ahead.
Well, you're going to be the pillar now, so you get to describe the
Oh.
corruption, and then
Right, yeah,
Zethro
yeah.
goes, then I go as the fallen, and then we do
Yes.
the collapse? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just to wrap things up that way.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, pillar. Recognize
yeah,
the
I know.
corruption.
I'm thinking about them. Which ones have we done already?
You can always make them more so far as well.
Yeah,
We've done the communications, that they were no longer handing out data jacks.
I wanted to worsen it a little bit.
We did death, where the dignitary didn't get a data jack. We did education.
religion.
We did.
Yeah.
We did education, where they were losing power.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm gonna do. All right. So, immediately after the events with T2 and Sam, this sort of like central enclave of the like core elders that's run by Totem basically cuts off like all communication interspacing between the tribes, and basically just puts everyone in a sort of like military lockdown state while it tries to pursue T2 and Sam.
Okay.
So basically, all the tribes are cut off from each other and from the main super system.
Okay. I can work with this. And I think what Sam is trying to do in all of this is trying to find a way to kind of break in and get T2 into the main sanctum
Yeah,
in order to get T2 to interface with Totem.
right. So Totem's basically trying to retreat even further inward to protect itself because it feels threatened as an entity into itself.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, so I think it would start with Sam kind of going through the vents, going through like the improvised like series of passageways she's figured out over the years.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess she comes up to, a door right before the main sanctum, and it's blocked by Cam.
Okay. So Cam's kind of just like standing there, and Cam's kind of got like an access jack, but it's like way longer than any of the usual ones you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And his head's kind of tilted back in the state that the elders were before, and you can see that the jack trails like up to the ceiling and kind of just like disappears up in the rafters.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's kind of moving in this robotic, like zombified, I don't know how to move my limbs sort of movement.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like takes a few trailing footsteps toward the door and kind of just like splays out his hands very awkwardly to block it. And in like several different voices at once, you hear, "Where do you think you are going, child?"
Sam looks defiantly at this totem entity that's taken over what I could have
Cam.
called my father, Cam. Said, "What have you done?
And Totem
How
kind of
dare you?"
Totem laughs in several different voices, and he's like, "I did nothing. Your gene donor decided to willfully give himself over to my control. And reading his thoughts, I knew this would be your next in."
And I guess Cam tries to like get past Cam. Sam tries to get past Cam, um, trying to like fight and kind of flare, like trying not to actually hurt Cam, but just
Yeah.
trying to get past.
And Cam's suddenly like kind of a little bit inhumanly strong, but it can't move its limbs very well, so it kind of just ends up like flailing around randomly, trying to either
It
grapple
just
at
like,
Sam or yeah. So it can hit its hand against metal and kind of dent it, but it's just kind of just like flinging itself around trying to grab Sam because it's like a puppet on strings.
Yeah.
and I think at this point Sam's just kind of like trying to grab on to Cam, trying to give Cam like a hug, you know, trying to like half restrain and also half like, dear God, what happened to my father? You know, maybe
Um,
this might shake him out.
Cam
Where's
suddenly
T2 when this is happening?
T2, hmm, I guess that would be your. I think T2 is there, and I don't know if T2 would necessarily be observing. I think T2 would be observing the situation, you know, like trying to look for any kind of weakness to get through.
okay. Um, as Sam is kind of like bear hugging Cam, he kind of like turns around so that the jacks on the back of his head are kind of like revealed to the hallway.
Hmm.
And from what T2 can see, they're kind of just like they seem to be plugged in through a sort of artificial port that's not very like strongly held on there. It seems to be kind of like a slapdash little bit of surgery,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that could easily just be like ripped out by hand.
So I think at that point, T2 would see that and immediately, like, just run past and just rip it out of the head as hard as possible.
Um, Cam kind of like convulses wildly for a few seconds and then limply leans against Sam and kind of just like starts like his feet kind of drag backwards down the tile of the interior chamber.
Sam's like, Dad, Dad, Dad.
I think T2 finally opens up and says, "Cam's gone, Sam. He did not join the totem."
No. I guess Sam would just kind of
I
break
look,
down.
yeah, I T2 goes to console Sam and like puts like a hand on like the shoulder as like I imagine Sam's like crying on top of her father or yeah, and I think he says, "I want you to know that don't remember your father as he was now. Remember him as what he was." Um, Totem. He looks at you very seriously. He's like, "Totem corrupted him. I see it now. I see what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to stop him. We're supposed to stop Totem."
At this point, Sam kind of grabs Totem's hand and starts to run into the sanctum.
Yeah.
She's just filled with rage now at this
Yep.
point. Totem! Show yourself.
Um. Do you is what is the isn't the sanctum just like the pool or whatever?
No, we're in like the interior chamber where the actual totem super mainframe
Oh,
thing.
so it's like an actual like yeah, it's like a hum of machines or whatever.
Mhm.
Um.
So I imagine she gets in there like never having seen a server or anything of that
Yeah,
nature and
Hmm.
expecting like a physical entity to be there, and it's
yeah.
just like stacks and
Instead,
stacks and
yeah.
stacks and stacks of like
Instead,
uh
just like a football field of servers. Yeah,
yeah, and it's just laid out. There's no like face. There's no anything anywhere.
yeah. Um, I think T2 says, "Oh, Totem is here, but he has no face. He's a coward who hides behind the faces of others." Is what T2 says.
I think at this point, in like a desperate bid to find Totem, she kind of starts tearing apart at the servers, not really knowing what they are.
Hmm.
I
She
think
needs something. Uh-huh.
what? No, I think T2 says like, "No, no, this won't shut him down, Sam. Follow me. Like we must I know the core that we must change."
Okay, lead the way, T2.
And we follow. I think that would be the scene because I want to do my scene.
Okay.
Um so, we follow T2 to like another row of data stacks or whatever. And T2 says, "It's this one. It's this one right here." And we see that this one is colored differently than the others. Perhaps they're all like blue, and this one's still blinking like a nice kind of calm green. And I think T2 is like, "This is the corrupted one. This is the totem that punishes us all. Destroy. And this one should be destroyed."
So at this point, Sam just kind of looks around for just the nearest like metal pole or something and just starts bashing at it,
Yeah.
wailing at it.
When out from the shadows comes the guy, the mysterious figure who was with the dignitary,
Uh-huh.
uh, show up and reveal, finally, Totem's mine. And I think that will be the end, unless I want to go expository.
Go for it. Let's see
Um,
what you got.
I think T2 runs to the guy and gives him a hug, saying like "father," and I think uh, I think the guy kind of smiles and says, uh, "You Totem is now entirely under my control."
Oh.
Um,
Oh.
yeah, that finally we can rise again as um, the real pride of soul. But it's like, so thank you very much, Sam. I couldn't have done it without you.
Who are you?
Um,
And what are you doing with Totem?
oh, I'm not doing anything with
Oh,
Totem,
okay.
Sam. I am. Could it could it be actually Cam all along?
No,
No. Yeah.
no.
Okay. Um,
No, I think mysterious person from the past. I think that plays well. We had
no.
foreshadowing for that.
Yeah. No.
Um,
I don't think I want. I don't want to give him a name because I don't think it matters.
all
I
right,
think.
so I guess my name doesn't matter. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Uh, my name that was before doesn't matter, but uh, now I am Totem. No, like now I am the pride of soul. I'm the inheritor.
The inheritor. I like
Yeah.
it. It's like, what have I done?
You've done exactly what I expected you to do, Sam. Your your brashness, your eagerness to change and amongst this flock of sheep. I admire your courage, and with that, I was able to use it against Totem. See, your dignitaries and your heroes, they're false. They're false, unlike myself. They hid behind and were afraid of each other. They didn't see that the true power that Totem had, and that Totem was being polluted by their dealings. See, I saw Totem for what it was. It's not something to be worshipped. It's a tool to be used. Now us as survivors can of the last remnants of soul. Now we can move on. Don't think of me as a villain, Sam. Think of yourself as a hero.
Sam, upon hearing that, thinks back to Cam dying in her arms, thinking to herself, who the hell did I even save?
Nice. So I think Totem was evil. So I think what do we say the ending is then? Or do I have a scene? Or that was the scene.
I
That
think
was
that
the
was
same.
the scene.
So I guess then it goes to the consequences or the collapse.
We're at the collapse.
I think
Yeah.
we're at the collapse, yeah.
So the collapse then is the pillar. The pillar basically gets described the collapse through the hero's perspective.
Ooh.
So what happens with the inheritor?
This is out of left field, so I got to figure out what I want to do with this. Um.
If you're open to suggestions, please let me know.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So what I was thinking, okay, so where I was going with T2 was that T2 is basically like the modified state. Totem
Yeah.
existed to help educate them during the entire journey, and T2 was there once they finally hit a place.
Yeah.
That'd be the next step.
Oh
But then,
yeah, slight. That's actually a really good point. Is that slight retcon? Yeah, I think the inheritor plans to make like T2 like the normal type of person, and that like we all have access to whatever's left.
Oh,
and
so he's
and
the
basically
you want him to be the template for the next era of
yeah, yeah, he was a
civilization.
prototype.
Oh, okay. So, using that, I imagine Sam, the inheritor lets Sam walk free of the sanctuary, and Sam kind of knows after basically being broken at that point that there's nothing she can do to kill this thing. There's nothing she can do to destroy Totem, so she basically just walks out and tries to go home and tries to like hide away and pretend things are normal in the canyon for like a week. And she sees that all around in all the different tribes, access jacks are being handed out to basically everyone, and everyone's being prompted to come and join with the totem and kind of connect themselves into it. And all
Mhm.
the lines linking to totem between the various different communities are brought back up online. And slowly over the weeks, more and more people are integrated.
So
so we're going hive mind.
yeah,
All right, and then it's to the right. So I give my thing through the hero's eyes, and then it gets passed to the right for the next person to describe another part of it of the
yeah,
collapse.
of the collapse. All right, I think we see the with everyone given knowledge and no longer living under this like fear and like limited knowledge. I think people begin to expand past the valley and begin
Okay.
to build and set up settlements on other sides and in different biomes. And we start like maybe like panning out, and we see like towns and things start getting developed and connected, like as they just start kind of like grow out from each other and weave in kind of like a network.
Okay. And then I guess. Mm,
The distinct identities dying as every new city comes up and connects into the circuit.
yeah. And you just kind of see um, all these wires just leading towards the central place, snaking through the trees, snaking through the canyons and stuff like that, and leads to a final shot inside the chamber of T2 kind of floating inside a pod or something like that.
Oh,
The server's like destroyed and cast down around him.
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait, these guys are going with a good ending, but no, collapse can also mean like a good ending too.
A collapse and
Yeah.
formative change.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to see if I could do a good one.
Hmm.
Yay, happy
So
ending.
yeah.
It's happy ending from an objective standpoint, and from
Yeah.
Sam's standpoint, everything she's known is dead,
Yes.
That's
and their
right.
entire culture is gone.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, if we had a little bit more time, we could have. Yeah, I feel like we could have rushing the ending wasn't the best, but
Oh
so
well.
yeah, so fucking downfall,
Woo!
right?
That was
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, let's
Very fun.
let's deconstruct a little bit, do a little bit of post mortem.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, what did we like and what didn't we like, and that kind of stuff. Anyone have?
Uh,
Zethro, I'm curious to hear from you as a first time here on story games. I know you've played story games before, but
I mean, like, I have to say, improvisation probably isn't my best suit, honestly.
hmm
But what I enjoyed most about this was kind of its ability to be able to generate these societies and such vastly different societies, and it keeps it, I guess, general enough, the language used that's just general enough to allow you to have these kind of different images. Like, I mean, we were talking about totems, we were talking about like a cyberpunky kind of thing beforehand. Like, it gives such amazing flexibility in
hmm
creating these societies. That's one
yeah.
thing I really loved about it. I guess if there was a thing that I didn't like as much, uh, I don't know. I guess it's just due to my lack of comfort with improvisation, and I
Is that
think it
not
stems.
enough guidance from scenes?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So really, like mechanically, the only thing that you have guidance for guiding you for scenes is the pillar describing a corruption,
Hmm.
and then relying on building from there. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely I get that sentiment too from other people, is that building scenes is the hardest part, but also that's it's just building scenes has always been the hardest part in story games
It's an
because
acquired skill set,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah, and it's not just an acquired skill set. It's a required frame of mind set. Like
Hmm.
it's being able to curate from the ether nothing instead of like being guided in a way. It's
Mhm.
much. It's like it's one of the most hardest, like most difficult creative tasks to do. Right. You're not really given that much of a nudge. I don't know.
And when there's not enough mechanical like balance in there,
Yeah.
like there's not enough there either when
Uh,
there's too many guidelines or not enough, when there's not
Hmm.
a good balance stricken there, it makes it a little bit more convoluted because you're feeling like, okay, do I conform to these standards or these standards? Do I go crazy with it? Do I
yeah.
limit the scope?
Hmm.
Which I kind of feel like Downfall has that problem because it has just enough mechanics to kind of be guided, and then it just kind of stops giving you any advice whatsoever.
Yeah, but I totally understand though not providing rules for scenes for freeform
Yeah, no,
scenes, right?
of course.
Because almost universally, rules for freeform scenes are usually not as good as just coming up with something
No,
on your
because
own.
they narrow your scope a little
Exactly,
bit.
they always
Yeah.
narrow it and end
But I
up
feel
having
like
a
these
less
don't
fun.
these don't have like almost any of that. It's just
No,
like, oh, okay, this is what you do.
but I
Like there's
think
no.
yeah, I think something that we could. I think I'm gonna take going forward though is I think I'm gonna start framing scenes just like I would in Microscope, where
Hmm.
like I would always say like the hero we're gonna answer this question. I
Yeah,
want to
I
try
think
that,
that
right?
would be great. That would be great,
That'd be
honestly.
good.
Like
What questions
I
did
want to
you
see
answer?
Sam. Like so we know. So like for example, we know that the data jacks are less are in short supply. I want to see how Sam is going to try to get or like I want to see how Sam's going to uncover who's stealing the data jacks, right? Like I want to do that scene, and then go from there.
And that
Yeah.
helps build the narrative too, because
Yeah.
then you kind of know
Yes.
what everyone's expectations
Yeah.
are.
Yes.
It's
That
much
was like
easier to
one of the
work.
toughest
Yeah.
parts for me. I'm like it was kind of the question like, okay, I have an idea of where I would want the plot to go. Like, what does everybody else kind of want the plot to go towards? You know?
Yeah.
Which is
Um,
sometimes fun when you just let it kind of just,
It is.
You're
It
kind
not.
of go
is.
Yeah.
off the
Well,
rails.
like yeah. Well, I think the game's purposely designed in a way so that uh, you're not supposed to ask that question what other people want. The
Yeah,
game gives you space when it's your turn to provide what you want.
right.
Okay.
Right. Very very similar to the structure and design of Microscope in that regard. Even so, like since we all get to play the hero, we all get to add our perspective of where things are going.
Hmm.
So I mean, I was thinking, I don't know. I feel like I introduced too many things I didn't resolve enough, and I think my resolution at the end was kind of weak.
Uh,
But honestly didn't know what I was going with destroying the data jacks. I wanted to tie that stuff back in, and I don't know. Maybe it was a flaw of me wanting to tie things in, because that's like one of my favorite things to do as a player, even if when it's
yeah.
detrimental, is keep recycling material.
Good reincorporation is one of the best things you can do in a narrative, because people are like,
Oh
"Oh
yeah.
yeah, that thing. You had
Yeah,
a plan for
exactly.
that, even if you didn't have a plan for that.
Yeah.
Hmm. No,
You
yeah,
bring it full
like when
circle."
done well, it's magical, you know? They're like,
Yeah,
Yeah, but I feel like Downfall is nothing but reincorporating of elements at some
yeah,
point.
it is.
Like you spend all this time building this Downfall, and then you just reincorporate the elements through the lens of things changing over time, right? And that's just because that's how you show it. That's why it's so important to have the physical things represented in traditions,
Yeah,
right? That's why it's so important to have like a strong character and like what they represent, because like you just keep tying those things in is how they change.
right. But then the narrative elements you add on top of that are where you have to be a little bit more conservative with it and try to tie everything together, because
Yeah.
it's easy to do with the traditions, but when you start putting on, okay, this red herring part of this story here, or this what I want to be foreshadowing here,
Yeah.
then it becomes harder.
Something that we could have done. I think we could have done more, or at least something that I see more done in person games than I do online. Is introducing more characters, like characters that are just general pillars or like friends of people, and having more scenes that just don't involve people on character sheets. I think
Maybe.
this one was okay. This one we did. I think this one was about on average of what I'm
I
used to.
I think maybe we
But
were thinking a little bit about our time, and that was kind of restricting how many side characters we decided to add into everything.
That's
Because
true.
we had so many elements we were working in within a limited time span,
Yeah.
I think we were feeling like subconsciously the pressures of, okay, this has got to be 3 hours. We can't have 10 side characters that we have
yeah.
to like resolve, and they see
Yeah.
the different perspectives.
Yeah, we
But
had to
I
have
get what you're
like a
saying.
condensed universe, yeah, for this
Right.
kind of thing.
I get what you're saying
Uh,
from, because in that setting, in a social setting, in person, it's like, okay, well, we're going to be
Yeah.
here for like 4 or 5 hours,
Yeah.
whatever.
I guess what I'm saying in a more roundabout way is that I guess what I wanted to say is that I feel like we made this amazing haven and we only explored like one part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wish we could have done more with communication between tribes. Like that didn't really come up. Like sure we were science and we saw a little bit of like the head people, elders, but like we didn't do anything with engineering. Like we didn't do anything with like that
Yeah.
sort of conflict.
Yeah. It might be better if, well, better. It might be a nice kind of addition someone adds to, like, I don't know, house rules for Downfall, where like with every scene you have to use, like, or not every scene, but like you try to very effectively work through all of the traditions so none of them get reused.
Yeah.
So you try to work through them all and paint a more complete picture overall by the time you get to the end of it.
Yeah. I wonder if our traditions were too narrow in a way. I don't know.
Maybe. I think they link
I
together.
think they were fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they link together decently. I just don't think. I think because of the fact that the corruption
It was
frames
very
two scenes.
localized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt
Because
localized is a good way of putting it.
right. Because the corruption only applies to one tradition and there's two scenes per that. I think it'd be better if there was one corruption for one tradition, that was a scene, and then like another for another and keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
I think that would cover all of the bases more effectively. I don't know how that would work mechanically. I have to rethink that.
I don't think it has to be represented mechanically. I think that's just something you kind of
It's
just
like a
strive for.
consideration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just something you could just agree upon. Like, okay, we want to hit all these things because we
Yeah.
want to flesh out the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, we're not really supposed to flesh out the world. We're supposed to watch it fall.
Yeah, but we like fleshing out the world.
True. Well, I think, yeah,
I mean, it's a give and take of fleshing out the world. You need to flesh it out enough to the point where you can track its degradation and
Yeah.
decay.
well, that's why I like doing flashbacks. The most powerful experience I've had in Downfall is when I do, as a hero, I do a flashback of a good thing, and then the Fallen twists it to the modern day of how
That's
it's changed.
interesting.
For example, one was like a time when I'm with my best friend, and then the other scene I was in, my best friend just got like tapped to become like an upper echelon monarch person,
Yeah.
and now can no longer associate with me.
Right.
So like we saw that juxtaposition that way. I think that's really like the strength of the game, but it's hard to like make that work. Like for example, I alluded to a little bit was the finding the boy in the in the ship. I was hoping Nick would have done something about another scene about me finding my color ID.
Oh, I hadn't
putting it
considered that.
way. So like Sam revisiting the ship again.
So
Yeah.
using a
only
happier
using a
memory.
different only using a different context. Basically using the same scene
Yeah.
as a hero in a different context.
Same setting, different.
As like a twist on it. At least that's what I always try to do as a Fallen. I think it's a cop out, but it's also
No,
it works a lot of the time.
It's a good way to show change. It was effective. I was trying to. My focus was the narrative though, so I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
But I get where you're getting at from that being important to a character standpoint. That would
For
be
me,
great.
for me, I can't think of things in terms of narrative. All I can think of is just keep adding fluff and adding cycle stuff, and then wherever it goes, it goes.
Yeah,
or
I
like
got
I
you.
just introduce something brand new, and like because I don't know how to end things. I can only create. It's really hard for me.
No, that's fine.
So, all right. I think that would do it for us then tonight. Outros, guys. Zethro?
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Eric. And yeah, if you ever want to see me, I'm Zethro Han on Twitch, Zethro_Han. I host Ichigeki. We do all sorts of alternative tabletop RPGs. Come check it out. It'll be great.
Yeah. I can't recommend Zethro enough. He's a super cool guy, and his stream's wonderful. I play Lasers and Feelings on it. 10 out of 10. How was your Cthulhu Dark, by the way?
So it's the first actual two-parter that we've ever had. So we got the first half of the investigation. Now stuff is going to go really bad in the next
Nice.
session.
Cool. Awesome, man.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. Super cool. Nick?
I am here. There is probably only one of me. You can find me at Nickadon2 on Twitter. I will probably have a website at some point when I decide to finish alphas for games I'm making. So we'll see how that pans out.
Oh,
I
looking
would
for,
love
looking
to
forward
see
to
those
that.
alphas too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to make them easily distributable in PDFs. So.
Yeah. No, I would love to play one sometime. If,
They have
if you would
GMs,
have
Eric.
me, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. On Sundays. So I'm getting near the end of season 1 of Once Upon a Game. Season 1 will end the 30th. I think that's a Wednesday. So the 28th and the 30th will be my last 2 episodes of season 1. Well, then I return January 3rd with the season premiere, and we'll be playing Urban Shadows, which is GM'd on Sunday as a one-shot, followed by, I don't know, to be determined. But yeah, so expect some cool, exciting things for the new year from my channel here. And speaking of new, exciting things, also check out Ichigeki, which is awesome, because he does incredibly awesome games there. I think you have a schedule. What else are you doing besides Cthulhu Dark?
Oh, like, so for this first entire year of content, we're focusing on games that are free or pay as you want. So we have stuff like Time Wizards. We have, I mean, you can check the entire list on my
Mhm.
profile page, but we have
Awesome.
Time Wizards. We have Tactical Waifu. Just,
Yeah.
yes, Tactical
S,
Waifu.
please.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, no, I'm super happy. I love seeing other people who love other like random indie alternate RPGs as much as I do, and giving them their well deserved love. So, I wish I could be on every one of your shows, but our schedules don't
Oh
align.
yeah.
So, all right, that would do it for us tonight. Thank you for tuning in for Once Upon a Game. I will be off next week for Christmas, and I will be returning Monday the 28th. So
All right.
take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye.